Summer 1980. The village of Llanrhaeadr-ym-Mochnant in Clwyd, North Wales, and a spy radio guessing game that had everyone baffled. Sleepy northern Welsh villages and Russian spies aren't something you'd usually tie together, but I thought I'd tell you a remarkable story that's been largely lost to time. In early June 1980, speculation was rife about a transmitter similar to that used in post-war espionage, which was dug up out of fern-covered virgin land during ploughing on a farm at Llanrhaeadr-ym-Mochnant. The object struck by the ploughshare sparked off a chain of events that brought spy catchers rushing to the lonely Welsh countryside. The radio was discovered on a remote North Wales mountainside by 26-year-old Goronwy Morris while ploughing land at his father's farm at Pant-y-Maen. It was about the size of a portable typewriter and was found buried 2 feet deep, was well wrapped in a waterproof bag inside a metal box, and was in overall good condition. The radio, a combined transmitter and receiver, was taken that night to the Denby branch of the National Farmers Union, where the secretary called the press and had it photographed before calling the police. It was then taken to the headquarters of North Wales Police at Colwyn Bay and examined by Home Office radio experts. It was initially believed to be of American manufacture, although it bore no details of the maker. The army was contacted by the police to see if they had any knowledge of the set or if exercises had taken place in the area over the years. Immediately after its discovery, Home Office officials descended on the farm with metal detectors and other equipment and made Goronwy Morris sign a form relinquishing any rights or ownership of the radio. The mystery was deepened in September 1980 with a statement by the Home Secretary William Whitelaw which said the device was of foreign origin. Meanwhile, the police had sent the transmitter to the Home Office after their investigation yielded nothing of significance. MI5, Scotland Yard's anti-terrorist squad and Special Branch were all alleged to have investigated the discovery, but were either stumped or tight-lipped. In a letter to Wrexham MP Tom Ellis, Whitelaw disclosed that the security authorities were examining the device, adding, "Beyond that, I'm afraid I cannot go." Things went quiet until March 1981, when it was revealed that the transmitter originated from behind the Iron Curtain. William Whitelaw sent a letter to Tom Ellis confirming that the device was an obsolete Soviet block transmitter dating back to the 1960s and as late as 1969. Whitelaw's latest letter raised more questions than it answered, and he would have been better saying nothing perhaps. The public knew nothing in the way of details. Locals and Mr. Ellis thought that the most important question was, should the public be left as unenlightened and dissatisfied as Mr. Ellis clearly was? Was he to write to the Home Secretary again, although he already said he couldn't reveal anything further on the matter? Too many questions sprung to mind in a public that increasingly expected to be kept in the know, while the Anthony Blunt affair still rumbled in the background. Anthony Blunt was a British art historian and Soviet spy, who was a member of the infamous Cambridge 5 spy ring. During World War II, he passed intelligence to the Soviets while serving in the British intelligence agency MI5. Why had it taken months for an answer to emerge? Was the matter as unimportant as Whitelaw's reply inferred? His reply also revealed that after the transmitter was found, a tiny strip of film negative, which was thought to have fallen from its packing while in the Farmers Union office, was discovered. It was found 7 months after the transmitter by the secretary at the union, and was understood to have contained instructions in clumsy English about how to operate the equipment. The film was found inside a wooden box, inside the tin, inside the plastic bag in which the transceiver was discovered. What, asked the public, recently enthralled with Sir Alec Guinness as George Smiley, about one-time code pads? One-time pads were known to have been used by spies to decode secret radio messages. Were any found in the transmitter, and what happened to them if they were? And what sort of wooden box? Homemade or custom-made? What sort of tin? A biscuit box or an airdrop container? What sort of transmitter? Voice or Morse code? And was it in working order or a rusted wreck? People certainly felt that the Home Secretary's description was not acceptable, an obsolete Soviet block transmitter dating back to the 1960s. The word obsolete should have sounded reassuring, but the age of the equipment was relatively immaterial. It could have been new issue based on a 1960s design. Who would go to such lengths to triple protect an obsolete item of electronics so carefully? How many other finds had there been? Where and when? Was the Llanrhaeadr find a long or short range unit? Had it been modified for triggering explosions at long range? Had the rest of the vicinity been searched to find if there was anything else that would provide a clue? It was later revealed that it was a lightweight, portable transceiver capable of high-speed sending of previously punched tape, with rapid and accurate change of 40 crystal-controlled frequencies. Some of the components had been manufactured in the US. Alongside all the questions I've just listed, theories ran rife. One suggested that the transmitter being buried on a bleak hillside was part of a British test of the durability capacity of captured equipment. Perhaps it was a training exercise objective that was due to be deliberately found during training. If so, why use Soviet bloc equipment? This theory seemed unlikely. Other theories ranged from the possibility that it was left behind by a Russian agent or even a CIA agent to the more mundane suggestions that it was either a frightened thief's equipment or accidentally forgotten by the army. Adding fuel to the speculation was the fact that the find was made within 5 miles of Lake Vyrnwy, which supplied water to Liverpool and was considered a prime target for saboteurs during the bombings by Welsh extremists in the 1960s. So, what was the attraction of North Wales to Soviet spy masters? Well, it so happens that the 1960s were a period of unusual Soviet interest in North Wales. In 1965, Alexander Soldatov, then Russian ambassador to London, spent a long holiday at the Imperial Hotel in Llanrhaeadr-ym-Mochnant. He was accompanied by his wife, Rufina, daughters Olga and Natalia, and a large staff who were by no means always in close attendance of the family, leaving time for other interests. In 1969, Igor Laptev, first secretary at the Russian embassy in London, turned up for a holiday at Llanrhaeadr-ym's Northwestern Hotel, but this time he was accompanied by 42 members of his staff from London. MI5 identified Laptev as a top Soviet spy in October 1971, and he was expelled from Britain along with 104 of his KGB colleagues. Among the first to greet the expelled spies when they arrived in Moscow was Alexander Soldatov, by then the Soviet Deputy Foreign Minister, and who had toured North Wales with some thoroughness 6 years earlier. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Llanrhaeadr espionage transmitter was Home Office Secretary Whitelaw's statement that a microdot strip of film found with it contained English instructions on how to operate the equipment. Who were the Reds under the beds of North Wales, dreaming of their utopia in which trade unions, freedom of speech, and even freedom of thought would be illegal? Douglas Hyde arrived in Glanconwy as long ago as 1929 to set up his communist cell in North Wales. A former theological student, he spent 9 years in the Conwy Valley as a small-time farmer. I had built up a considerable following amongst busmen and railway workers, and made a number of sympathetic contacts among miners, quarrymen and others, and had converts scattered here and there, he wrote in 1950. But invariably when I tried to get people actually into the party, I came up against the deeply entrenched nonconformity of the North Wales workers, he added. This was hardly the picture of fertile ground for Soviet political interests, so what on earth was their espionage interest in North Wales? The biggest revelation came in late 1981, when it was said that in February 1971, 6 Russians describing themselves as members of a trade mission actually visited Llanrhaeadr. They checked into the Winstay Hotel. The party comprised of 4 men, a woman and a young boy, and only 4 of them signed the register. One of the men refused to, despite being asked twice. The wife of the hotel owner, Jim Kimpton, who was named Asta, was Estonian and understood Russian, revealed an extremely interesting story. She said she witnessed 3 of the men leave the hotel late at night with a parcel, returning a few hours later without it. The party checked out after 1 night, despite the Russian embassy booking their rooms for 4 nights, and afterwards the hotel was visited by police and, quote, security men, according to Asta. The story was neatly packaged away until it resurfaced the following year in March 1984. It was now 4 years since the transmitter was dug up, and the now former MP Tom Ellis decided once again to press for a Home Office statement after recent disclosures by a KGB defector. Stanislav Levchenko claimed that in the event of a grave international crisis, he would have parachuted onto Merseyside. Levchenko served as a major in the KGB and was sentenced to death by the Kremlin after he defected to the US in 1979. His secret mission would have been to pose as a journalist and to spy on nuclear submarine movements and shipping in the area, and he may have intended to communicate with his superiors using the buried transmitter. He claimed that Soviet agents operating from embassies, trade missions and even journalists were responsible for burying this and many other transmitters throughout Britain. He claimed that it was GRU practice to bury transmitters for future use. The circumstantial evidence was becoming increasingly strong that the device was being used by Russians or Russian agents for subversive purposes. It was believed that the radio was intended for use by a spy ring targeting Liverpool, but nothing was ever proven, or should I say revealed publicly. Coincidentally, the 4 men who stayed at the Winstay Hotel were part of a group of later expelled Russian diplomats. The whole incident was quietly forgotten and never really mentioned after 1984. Photographs of the transmitter were obtained by the press, but as far as I know, they were never published. I wonder why.